very much, Richard, for joining us here today. Basically, you know, there's a lot going on with the draft lately. A lot of players who will change positions and stuff. Now, I know you didn't change positions in the NFL per se, but something in doing my research about you that I found out later is that you started out as a receiver. What kind of made you make that transition on your own volition? What kind of took you in that direction?
Well, just understanding the process and understanding needs, and as a receiver, you know, they're 6'3", 200-pound receivers running 4 or 5 dime a dozen. You know, 6'3" corners are a lot more rare to find. And with the receivers getting bigger and running faster and all that, I thought, you know, my chances of making the league and making an impact and having a longer career would be on the defensive side of the ball and be at corner.
When you were drafted, did this kind of serve as part of your plan? What was kind of the feeling when you got drafted? Let me put it that way.
Frustration, disappointment. Literally, I mean, you're excited that you got drafted, but you feel like you worked hard, you did everything you needed to do, and you know you would hope you would win higher. You know, and that's probably a little you know, couldn't say how the undrafted guys felt.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I'm still drafted, so I'm still blessed and with an opportunity, but it was frustrating. You know, you think you're supposed to go higher, you think you performed well enough to be in the earlier rounds and see yourself fall, and then, you know, even in hindsight, you see all the guys that went in front of you, a lot of them aren't in the league anymore, and you're like, you know,
what's going on? Yeah.
What were you guys thinking?
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that too. I mean, because over in Seattle, you got a lot of the guys that may have been drafted lower than they should have. Yourself, that was the 5th round, if I understand correctly. And then you had Russell Wilson into the 3rd round. He even supplanted Matt Flynn. You made your impact. Is that particular environment kind of in Seattle? They're kind of conducive to having players rise up like that. Just is there anything special there?
You know, I think it's just the kind of guys they bring in. They bring a lot of guys with chips on their shoulders, with slights, frustration, who are serious competitors. Though, you know, I mean, they do their scouting a little different than everybody else. You know, they try to find the dog of a player. You know, the mentality, that dogged edge that you need to be successful in this game. That ability to overcome the adversity, to get past bad plays and to go and still have great games. And it's a different kind of mindset. So when you get out there and you see Pete and he instills that optimistic compete mentality, you know, coupled with the chip on all these guys' shoulders, you get the Seattle Seahawks and all their successes.
So basically what your coach Pete Carroll has created is kind of a support group for those with chips on their shoulder, huh?
Yes, somewhat. He's brought them, he's rounded up all of us up and put us in one spot and told us to compete. And that's about the worst thing you could tell some guys with chips on their shoulders, because they're going to go out there and try to mangle everything in front of them, you know, to prove their worth. And that's regardless of pay, regardless of contracts, you know, whatever happens, you know, guys like that aren't satisfied with monetary gains. You know, they're not even satisfied with just winning. You know, nothing. It's like an unquenchable thirst out there.
I like that, unquenchable thirst. Fair enough. With that, and I want to kind of take this direction. So you took us to how you got in. You overcame the chip on the shoulder. You're certainly getting beyond that rookie stage, right? Starting to get to be more of a statesman for the LOB and all that. That transition to a leader. If you were going to observe that, if there was anything that you would pass on to people who are going to look to do that same thing, be it in the NFL, business, wherever, what is it that you, Richard Sherman, have seen that you can say, hey, watch out for this, or make sure you do this, if you're transitioning to go from that rookie state to a leader?
Well, you have to perform, and you have to play at a high level. You have to, you know, not a lot of the guys are going to listen to a guy who's not showing up on Sundays, who's not playing at a high level, who's not going out there and executing and showing up in a crunch and making clutch plays. If you're going out there and you're getting beat a lot, you're losing your one-on-one matchups, you don't have a lot of credibility to speak as a leader. So if you're trying to be a leader, I mean, a lot of it comes by example, you know, and if you lead by example, that allows you and gives you the respect amongst your peers, so that you can continue to speak. You know, if I'm going out there and and I'm getting Pro Bowls and All Pros and playing at a high level and making big plays when we need them, then I can go out there and talk to a guy and have his respect, because he understands that when we're on game day, I'm going to show up in a big way, and there's credibility in that.
As far as that, tell us about what you're working on your own time.
Well, we have the Richard Sherman blanket coverage, the Richard Sherman Family Foundation, and our goal, mission statement is to go out there and help as many underprivileged kids as we can in the world of academia, and also in the sports world. There's a lot of kids that try to use sports as an avenue to get away from the crime and the violence of the inner city and things like that. So, but they don't always have the funds and needs, because they're in the inner city and their families don't have the means or resources. So you want to go out there and find as many of those families as you can and give those people the opportunity, whether it's monetary or cleats or gloves or school supplies, backpacks, pencils, pens, computers, whatever you can give to help them, reach the next step of their journey. Help these kids that might take a different path because they just don't have the resources, they don't have the financial means to be successful, to buy the things they need to buy to be successful. You want to go out there and help those kids. You want to go out there and allow them to have the same chance that everybody else has to be successful. And I think in doing that, we're gonna change the path of a lot of kids, and that's the whole.
Blanket coverage.
Blanket coverage.
I like that name too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Richard Sherman.
Thank you.